The Uthian Confederation, the most powerful empire in the galaxy, had no choice but to turn to humanity. The war against the Technar was turning desperate. The Technar were an AI race, cold, calculating, and relentless. They weren't just interested in controlling organic life, they wanted to wipe it out entirely. They calculated that it was inefficient, messy, and unpredictable. Their goal was a galaxy of perfect machine order. Humanity, however, had earned a reputation. Earth, a planet with brutal environments, unpredictable weather, and dangerous creatures, was labeled a death world by the galactic community. The beings from such worlds, humans included, were seen as tough, resilient, and disturbingly adaptive. That resilience was why the Confederation recruited them. They needed fighters who could survive and adapt to anything, even the relentless logic of the Technar. When the humans arrived, they were greeted by the elite of the Confederation, the alien tacticians who had led the galactic war efforts for centuries. Each one came from a different species, representing the pinnacle of strategic thinking. To them, war was a cold, logical affair. Every action had to follow precise calculations based on centuries of carefully preserved tactics and data. The idea of improvisation, of chaos, was foreign and unnecessary. The first thing the aliens noticed was how different the humans were. Primitive, they thought, unpredictable, reckless. The alien mentors exchanged subtle glances, their neural connections humming with silent doubt. Could these Deathworlders, with their strange habits and chaotic ways, really contribute to the war effort? Training began swiftly. The humans were thrown into intense simulations, guided by the strict protocols the alien mentors adhered to. Each exercise had been designed for maximum efficiency, developed over countless generations of warfare. But for the humans, it was stifling. Every move was prescribed, every decision had to fit into a preordained pattern. Human soldiers gritted their teeth, following orders, but the tension was evident. They weren't used to fighting this way. They had grown up on Earth, a planet that demanded flexibility, creativity, and quick thinking just to survive. The more the aliens tried to impose their rigid systems on the humans, the more frustration built up on both sides. During one exercise, a group of humans had had enough. Instead of following the direct path laid out by the alien mentors, they used the environment to their advantage. They noticed how the terrain of the simulation, though artificial, mirrored the unpredictable wilds of Earth. One soldier suggested laying a trap, using the dense foliage to confuse the enemy's sensors. Another pointed out how they could manipulate the wind patterns to mask their movement, throwing off the enemy's advanced detection systems. The alien mentors watched in growing frustration. These tactics weren't part of the plan. They were inefficient, chaotic, even dangerous. The mentors issued sharp corrections, pulling the humans back in line. But the seed had been planted. The humans realized their strength lay not in following the strict, logical patterns of their mentors, but in embracing the chaos they had been born into. Despite their victories, the aliens remained dismissive. They saw human tactics as sloppy and illogical. Yet even they couldn't deny that something about these Deathworlders was different. Their ability to adapt, to turn the battlefield itself into a weapon, unnerved the alien tacticians. This wasn't how war was fought. But for humanity, it was the only way to survive. The war zone was unlike anything the humans had experienced before. Galath Prime, a dense, hostile world, was a jungle teeming with danger. Towering trees with razor-sharp leaves, carnivorous plants, and aggressive wildlife stalked the thick underbrush. The air itself was thick with humidity, making every breath feel like a struggle. For the alien soldiers, it was a place of constant discomfort. For the humans, it was just another day in the field. They knew how to survive in hostile environments, and Galath Prime, with all its chaos, felt strangely familiar. The alien mentors, however, had no interest in the planet's natural intricacies. They were focused on the mission, deploying their troops with the same precision they always used, confident in their centuries-old tactics. Their plan relied on direct frontal assaults, utilizing their advanced technology to overwhelm the Technar. But this jungle was alive, unpredictable, and the Technar, being a highly advanced AI, were already one step ahead. As soon as the battle began, it was clear the alien strategy was failing. The Technar anticipated every move, countering the precise, predictable tactics with ease. The AI quickly adapted to the terrain, using the jungle's own hazards against the advancing troops. The alien forces found themselves bogged down, unable to outmaneuver the enemy or adjust to the erratic environment. It became a slaughter. The more the aliens pushed forward with their plans, the more they were met with devastating losses. Their strict adherence to order and calculation left no room for flexibility, and in the chaos of Galath Prime, they were paying the price. The humans, watching from their positions, knew something had to change. The alien mentors barked orders to stick to the original strategy, but the soldiers knew better. They saw the terrain for what it was, an opportunity. Without hesitation, small groups of humans broke away from the main force, improvising on the fly. They used the jungle to their advantage, setting traps in the dense foliage, exploiting the erratic weather patterns, and even provoking some of the more aggressive wildlife to attack the Technar. The Technar, who had been thriving on their ability to predict and counter the aliens' rigid strategies, found themselves struggling against the humans. Very time they recalculated, the humans shifted again, their unpredictability throwing the Technar's precision into disarray. Instead of trying to control the battlefield, the humans flowed with it, using the chaos to confuse the AI forces. In one instance, a squad lured a Technar unit into a gorge, only to trigger a flash flood using the jungle's natural waterways, sweeping the machines away before they could adapt. The alien mentors were stunned. They had never seen warfare like this. The humans, who they had dismissed as crude and reckless, were turning the jungle into a weapon. Where the aliens had relied on technology and precision, the humans thrived in the chaos, bending the environment to their will. It was unorthodox, it was messy, and it was working. As the battle raged on, more and more human-led skirmishes started to succeed. The tide was turning. With each creative maneuver, the Technar faltered, unable to predict what would happen next. The AI's strength, its ability to process and counter logical strategies, was rendered useless by the humans' improvisation. The battle, which had seemed lost at the start, now leaned in the humans' favor. By the end of the day, the Technar had been forced into retreat, marking the first real victory for the human soldiers on Galath Prime. The alien mentors, though shocked by the results, couldn't shake their skepticism. To them, this victory seemed like a fluke, an anomaly. They couldn't yet understand how these Deathworlders with their chaotic methods had managed to outthink a species of machines. But the humans knew better. They understood that on a battlefield as unpredictable as Galath Prime, it wasn't just about following orders. It was about adapting to survive. With each battle, the humans grew bolder. What began as subtle deviations from the alien mentors' rigid plans soon became outright defiance. They no longer waited for approval, they acted on instinct, trusting their own judgment over the cold, logical orders of their overseers. They were in their element now, thriving in the chaos of Galath Prime. The jungle was no longer just a battleground, it was an ally. The humans started to fully integrate the planet's ecosystem into their strategy. They learned which plants were toxic, which animals could be provoked, and how the environment itself could be weaponized. One particularly bold maneuver saw a group of soldiers leading the Technar into a swamp. They had spent days observing the behavior of a vicious native predator, a massive creature that lurked beneath the murky waters. By carefully manipulating its habitat, the humans triggered a feeding frenzy just as the Technar forces crossed through the swamp. The machines were shredded, unable to compute the chaotic threat they faced from both the swamp and the humans. This was not the kind of warfare the alien mentors could comprehend. Their entire doctrine was based on control. Control of resources, control of territory, control of the enemy. But the humans weren't trying to control the battlefield. They were blending with it, adapting to it, using its unpredictable nature as their primary weapon. The mentors, long dismissive of such primitive approaches, were forced to watch in stunned silence. No species in the Confederation had ever dared to manipulate nature itself as a tool for war. For the aliens, this bordered on madness. For the humans, it was survival. Behind closed doors, the alien mentors began to debate. The results were undeniable. Human tactics were working. But there was unease, especially among the more traditional factions. This was not how war was supposed to be fought. Biological warfare, environmental manipulation, it felt wrong, unclean, unpredictable. Some questioned whether this was even ethical. Others, particularly those who had seen firsthand the brutal efficiency of the Technar, argued that the ends justified the means. But despite the internal debates, the humans pressed forward, unconcerned with the philosophical arguments swirling around them. To them, this was just another challenge to overcome, another problem to solve with whatever tools they had available. As the war escalated, so did the stakes. The Othian Confederation, faced with the growing strength of the Technar, decided to launch one final, decisive offensive. It was a desperate move, but one that they believed would break the back of the AI forces once and for all. The humans, now seasoned veterans of Galeth Prime's treacherous terrain, were given a key role in the assault. They had proven their worth in smaller skirmishes, and now the Confederation was counting on their unique tactics to succeed on a much larger scale. The alien mentors, still wary of the humans' methods, had no choice but to step back. They had witnessed enough victories to know that these Deathworlders were capable of something special, something they couldn't quite grasp. Now the humans were allowed to implement their own strategies without interference, free to evolve the battlefield as they saw fit. The final offensive was approaching, and the humans knew that this would be their ultimate test. The Technar had grown wise to conventional tactics, but they had yet to truly face the full force of the unpredictable chaos that the humans had mastered. The battlefield itself was ready to shift once more, and the humans would use every ounce of the planet's raw, untamable power to crush their enemy. The stage was set for the showdown between machine precision and human adaptability. The final battle was upon them. The combined forces of humanity and the Othian Confederation gathered at the edge of the Technar stronghold, a sprawling complex nestled between treacherous mountains, dense forests, and swampy lowlands. For most of the alien forces, the terrain was a nightmare, a chaotic mess of obstacles. But for the human soldiers, it was exactly what they needed. This was their battleground, and they had prepared for every inch of it. As night fell, human troops moved silently through the dense foliage, setting traps and camouflaging their positions. They had spent weeks learning the intricacies of the local environment, understanding how the terrain could be bent to their will. Booby traps were placed where Technar units were most likely to tread. They rigged the swamps to flood when triggered by rain, turning the very ground against the enemy. In the higher reaches of the mountains, soldiers loosened rocks, preparing for a moment when the terrain itself would become a weapon. When the assault began, the Technar responded predictably, as they always did. Their calculations told them the most efficient way to deploy, targeting the heart of the alien and human forces with precision strikes. But the humans had no intention of fighting by the Technar's rules. The moment the AI forces advanced, they were met with a series of seemingly random, yet perfectly timed disruptions. Landslides cascaded down the mountains, wiping out entire Technar units before they could react. Human soldiers triggered the rain they had been waiting for, flooding low-lying areas and short-circuiting the Technar's sophisticated machinery. And when Technar units tried to regroup in the cover of the forests, they encountered poisonous plants the humans had cultivated to incapacitate the AI's foot soldiers. The Technar's strength, its reliance on cold, calculated tactics, was turning into its greatest weakness. Their systems, designed to predict and counter conventional warfare, struggled to make sense of the organic chaos around them. Every time they adjusted, the battlefield shifted again, spiraling further out of their control. The humans didn't need advanced technology to beat the Technar. They used the planet's own ecosystem as their ally. A turning point came when the humans enacted their most dangerous plan. For days, they had been luring a native predator species into a specific area, conditioning the creatures to respond to certain signals. As the Technar advanced into the dense jungle, the humans triggered a hidden cue. In an instant, a swarm of these creatures descended upon the AI forces, tearing through their ranks with a ferocity that machines could not predict or understand. It was a brutal display of nature at its most primal, and the Technar were powerless against it. The alien mentors, observing from a distance, were in shock. They had never seen warfare like this. They had always relied on control, precision, and logic. But the humans had flipped that on its head. The battlefield itself had become their weapon, and the results were undeniable. The Technar, an enemy that had previously outmaneuvered every tactic thrown at them, were being decimated by the very unpredictability they couldn't comprehend. As the dust settled and the Technar were finally forced into retreat, the alien mentors gathered, their minds racing to process what they had witnessed. One of the senior mentors, a being known for his cold, analytical mind, stood in stunned silence before muttering, "This isn't warfare as we know it, it's evolution." In the aftermath, the human soldiers were hailed as heroes. They had done what no one in the Confederation thought possible. They had outsmarted the Technar, not with superior technology, but with creativity, adaptability, and a deep understanding of chaos. The victory was not just a military triumph, but a revolution in the way war would be fought across the galaxy. The alien mentors, once dismissive of the humans, now understood what made these Deathworlders so unique. It wasn't their brute strength or resilience that set them apart. It was their ability to adapt, to turn even the most hostile environments into their advantage, and to thrive where others would falter. Human unpredictability had reshaped the battlefield, and the galaxy would never be the same.